We begin this day with two things. Number one, prepare yourself for a dog fight. Get those boxing gloves up. We're in for a good one. And on the other hand, happy Mother's Day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Budweiser Gardens, London, Ontario. Game 2 of the Central Division Finals between the Windsor Express and London Lightning. You know who we are, and JP, considering how scrappy and how tough the final minutes of Friday night's game was, it's just a sure testament of how brutal this 401 rivalry is.
Yes, this has been a brutal rivalry throughout the seasons, especially this season. Both of these teams, of course, major rivals, and it's showing especially with a chance for a spot in the finals on the line in this series. It was shown in that game in the last few minutes as well. Both teams back and forth trying to get the game-deciding shot or the dagger shot. The Express went for the 3, in fact, to try and win the game at the end. That did not go. Should expect the same today, actually.
The Windsor Express, they have their backs on the wall because if they lose this, they go back to the Atlas 2 Center down 0-2. What should happen to them tonight?
They're going to be fighting hard to get this big Game 2 victory here. So expect them to be fighting hard for any loose balls, trying to make any shot they can and playing hard defense. Try and make sure, and try and make sure they stay into this game.
The London Lightning, they had a big scare during Game 1. They were down by as much as 8, but they came back and won it because of three main reasons. Number one, Royce White with a double-double. Same with Ryan Anderson, who was being pestered by the Windsor Express defense throughout the whole game. And then you have Garrett Williamson. Do you expect any more from these three guys this afternoon?
I expect to see a lot of the same, as well as a few more possibly stepping up with a big-time moment here on the line here with Game 2, because London's going to want to go into Windsor, or Bell River, I should say, up 2-0. Windsor's wants to tie it up. So expect someone else on top of those players to step it up and make sure London seals the deal with Game 2 with a big advantage heading on the road.
One of two things will happen. It's either this series will be knotted up by the time we get back on Thursday, or the London Lightning will take a 2-0 lead en route of trying to become Central Division champions for 2 seasons in a row. We'll see what happens as we go upstairs. We have John Van Halen, Chris Croucher on the call. We'll see you folks at halftime, but for now, we step aside for the anthem and the starters for this afternoon's game. Stick around, family and friends. Kick it out with your mother. It's Happy Mother's Day right here on Knockstrom.tv.
Welcome, sports fans, to Budweiser Gardens, Game 2 between the London Lightning and the Windsor Express. I'm John Van Houweling, along with my partner, Chris Croucher. We're going to call the game for you this afternoon. And Chris, that game ended with a flourish on Friday night. Slow start by Windsor, a flurry in the third, and then a battle in the fourth with London pulling it out by 2.
It was really a tale of two halves in that game, as, again, London really kind of had their way in the first half there. They had a lot clicking on offense. Garrett Williamson was really going early. They were attacking the rim. And I think Windsor, there were a couple of times they had troubles identifying mismatches, and that led to them getting into an early deficit against the London Lightning. Second half was a completely different story. They started looking at those mismatches and taking advantage. Juan Patillo came out to a roaring start to that second half, and they went on a 26-7 run, went from down 10 to up 10 in a hurry, and it was a magnificent effort from the Windsor Express to get themselves back in that game. London didn't go away, though. They, of course, finally managed to close out. Pardon me, not finally, as in they've never done it before, but they were hanging around for a lot of the game, and around the final minutes there, that's when they really came back, got themselves back in the driver's seat, and were able to get the game ended on a last-ditch effort from Tony Bennett. Shot missed. There was a little bit of a kerfuffle, but for the most part, it was a pretty good, clean game, and an entertaining one for basketball fans. I don't think London's very used to having to play in a 2-point game, but they showed their mettle in that regard last game.
Well, they certainly did. They have had a terrific season, have had the London Lightning. 35-5, I believe, was their final record. And they have won in all sorts of manners that we've seen, blowouts and going away games, but also they have won the close games in various ways, and they did, to their credit, come back. They were ahead by 12. They were down by 10, I believe, in the third quarter.
Yep.
Came back to tie it up in the fourth. Primarily, I would say the spark in that second half, bringing London back, was Mr. Anderson, Mr. Ryan Anderson, I'm talking about, who started shooting the threes, started making the clutch threes, and also, I think, had 14 rebounds, you pointed out to me, I think, before the game.
Yeah, it was a real all-round effort from Ryan Anderson. We're not shocked that he was able to shoot the lights out, but 14 boards shows that he was really hustling, and London likes to throw 3 wings in there. They don't have a traditional lineup. Ryan Anderson really stepped up in that regard, because when you do go with a smaller player at the 4 spot, to get those rebounds like Anderson did is such a huge bonus to your team. And for Anderson, it was a magnificent effort, and it just shows the hustle, that even though he was usually one of the smaller guys in the paint, he was the one coming up with the ball. And that's just a smart basketball and a hustle play.
Well, London was caught in the second half. Windsor came out with fire in their eye, and they were caught flat. Ryan Anderson was the first to respond, and his teammates followed him to the end for that 2-point win. Tony Bennett, of course, attempting that final 3-point shot at the end. He was literally on fire that game. I think he made, 6 or 7 3-pointers that game, I believe.
I believe it was 6 when all was said and done. But he shot 50% from the field, and some of the threes he made were just so heavily contested. But he was feeling it to the extent that when he shot it, it didn't matter how many hands were in his face, he still kind of thought it was going in. And he really did everything he could to keep Windsor ahead. London's fourth quarter comeback, it would have been a lot more than a 2-point lead at the end of the game if it hadn't been for Bennett and his hot shooting in the fourth quarter.
So introducing the starting lineups are the announcers right now. Today for the London Lightning, traditional, what we would say, 5-man rotation that we see for the last month or so, if not longer. That's Kyle Johnson and Junior Cadugan, Garrett Williamson, Royce White, and of course the aforementioned Ryan Anderson. And for the Windsor Express, let's see if they do have a change in the starting lineup from last game. We have Juan Patillo, Logan Stutz, last year's MVP, we keep repeating, and the Tony Bennett starting tonight, along with Darren Duncan. And Shaquille Keith, who had a terrific game as well on Friday night, rebound-wise, keeping his game and his team on the boards.
You know, I think that starting spot's a bit of a reward for Tony Bennett. The way he played in that last game, clearly he's found something that works against the London Lightning. So a smart move from Coach Bill Jones to put him in the lineup and see if they can get that hot shooting right from the top.
Well, let's see what kind of team Windsor's bringing out for their game plan today. London has been pretty consistent all year. We do know their strengths. We do know the way they like to play. Windsor is a bit of a team in transition with a couple of late additions, with Logan Stutz being one of them, of course, and the return of the big guy, Nick Evans, and the emergence of Tony Bennett. So even though London had the series this year quite handily, we do know this is a different Windsor team for the playoffs. That was a nice national anthem by the guys down there. Sounded really well.
Really well sung.
Okay, good crowd out this afternoon on a Sunday afternoon here in London, Ontario, the Central Division Finals, or we want to call the league semifinals, however you like to say it. I believe it's Halifax and the Island Storm, I believe, are out in the east.
In fact, they're playing right now. There's about 2 minutes left in that game. Island Storm up 111-109.
Wow, they're really coming from their, regular season, not such a great season, but really coming through in the playoffs so far. Won their first round, of course.
They're a team that really impressed me in their games against London this season. A really interesting team, and I think it's an interesting matchup with Halifax too. So we'll have to see how that plays out east.
Okay, we're just about ready for the opening tip-off. Hope you got your drink in your hand, feet up on the couch, maybe some chips and dip, which I would be doing, and enjoying the game. Juan Patillo against Royce White for the opening tip-off, and White gets it handily, got the quick jump. London started off very strong in the first game, driving to the hoop, constantly beating their man off the defense. This is Williamson, strong drive to the hoop, got contested, and off of Royce White. Of course, White and Williamson are what I would call the two big stars on this team, point-wise, production-wise, sort of setting an example, along, of course, with Ryan Anderson. Those are really the big three from the London Lightning.
Williamson's been great against Windsor historically in the playoffs, including last year, so this is really his kind of series.
What a nice little handoff by Juan Patillo to change his mind in midair. Logan Stutz flashing to the basket. Looked like a football play almost. In for the short touchdown. That's a hard screen. That was Tony Bennett, the recipient of that hard screen from Royce White. I'm not sure how much contact exactly was there, but he was laying flat on the floor. London unable to convert on the pass underneath.
I think we got a replay of the screen right here. Ooh.
Shoulder right to the chest there. And we know there's no give in Royce White. He's strong. That's Junior Cadogan driving against Juan Patillo, who did not move his feet at the end. He had a good angle on Junior Cadogan. Cadogan using his strength to gain the contact.
He might be the strongest point guard in the league, just in terms of his ability to really get guys off of him and use that strength to get to the rim.
And the crowd can finally sit down after the first point, traditional here. But the London Lightning, and I think many teams around basketball leagues, they stand up till the home team scores. Good thing we don't do that in hockey, eh?
Oh my. Or imagine soccer.
Or soccer.
80 minutes of standing.
Looks like they're trying to pound the ball into Stutz, who's being guarded by Williamson, and that's Shaquille Keith. Gets his own rebound, tries to go around the back. Out. Offensive board knocked out by Logan Stutz. Good denial that time by Williamson on a taller opponent, Logan Stutz.
This game's start, the fact that both teams are really locked down defensively, that tells me that both coaches looked at the tape and think they know how to get some stops here. Late whistle, but huge shot there from Junior Cadogan.
I don't know what he was thinking, Darren Duncan, but he ran right into Junior Cadogan's chest. But what you said before, his strength held him in good stead. He still finished the shot after absorbing that contact.
Well, we're going to see the contact right here, just plowed right into him.
Plowed right into him, is right. Cadogan, all 5 points so far for the London Lightning. They are going head-to-head, Cadogan and Duncan. A little talking going on down there, I think, between Cadogan and Duncan. We'll see how it transfers from the end of the last game. There was a lot of sort of confrontation right after the game as the teams are filing off. And see how that carries on to this game. You know this is a heated rivalry. Good reaction by Cadogan overplaying that screen. White had to switch. Patillo was rotating to the basket. Again, Stutz underneath. He's got good position. He got pushed that time by Anderson.
I think that's the matchup they want there. Ryan Anderson, more of a wing player, forced to cover Logan Stutz, who's your more traditional power forward position guy. So with that matchup, that's the one that if I'm Bill Jones, I'm looking at as one where, you know, Logan Stutz could feast a bit.
I agree. I do think Logan Stutz needs to be fed the ball on a more consistent basis by the Windsor Express, because I do think, for the most part, he has the advantage underneath.
And it was a late ad. There's still some a bit of a feeling out process, trying to figure out how to use them best. But I think it's a time for him to maybe get some plays in.
Johnson with the jump shot for the handoff from White, unable to convert. Hasn't been as consistent the last 5 or 6 games that we've seen Kyle Johnson. He has been on the starting lineup. Not as consistent as he was earlier in the season. Struggling a little bit with his shot. Double team on Patillo, throws the ball out. Bennett all the way across the court to Keith, who has made the threes the last game and makes his first attempt here as well. Looks more like a shot put than anything else, but that's Williamson taking the punishment, driving the ball down the throat of the Windsor Express and getting to the basket.
And that's what he did best in that game one, just really cutting to the basket, getting himself to the free throw line, creating havoc all around.
Bennett with a quick three-point, unable to convert, but he was on fire last game. Williamson again taking the contact, unable to convert. White trying to get the ball. It's going to be the last knocked out by Darren Duncan. You're right, they are chasing the loose balls quite vigorously. A lot of contact. Darren Duncan looks like he got a little bit banged up there on that collision with Kyle Johnson. So that's 3 times in a row we've seen Garrett Williamson just drive the ball as hard as he can to the hoop once he has the lane.
Well, London has so many perimeter shooters on the floor at any given time that it spaces that out. So Williamson's able to get those lanes to the basket. That's where one of the things that was effective for Windsor in those circumstances was when they put Nick Evans there, because he kind of took away some of the space on the floor.
Same set play again with Anderson dropping it off to Williamson. First time they tried it, Bennett was holding Anderson from doing that flash, and they just ran the same play again. This time Bennett had to back off. Now Royce White way out high, guarding the guard, but Cadogan had to switch off on Juan Patillo, and Patillo for some reason put his forearm out and just knocked Junior Cadogan to the floor. His teammates were urging him to play tough defense, and he certainly did absorb the punishment that time. I don't know if we'll see a replay of that or not.
And I mean, if you're Patillo, why are you taking that? Why are you taking that foul? You have the mismatch on Cadogan, much smaller player.
Just
all
hold
you need
your
to do is
position.
wait for the ball.
Yeah. Okay, well, this should be interesting. DeAndre Thomas with his first look in the finals here, conference finals, and that's Kyle Johnson, unable to convert, working hard for the rebounds, but Keith snatches it away. 2 chances there.
Thomas playing in this game with, despite having a bum ankle in the last game, missed game 1 of this series, but he can, if you want to talk about a guy who takes up space on the court, DeAndre Thomas, look at him bull rush his way to the rim.
He's doing well, holding on to the ball. He drew a foul that time. He just got swarmed. And Logan Stutz is trying to calm down an emotional DeAndre Thomas, who did everything right there, got the ball down low, bullied his way to the basket, hung on to the ball, even with all the slapping from London, and drew the foul.
And that's the thing with DeAndre Thomas, is whenever he's on the floor, he creates an impact just merely by his presence. Whether it's drawing fouls, whether it's causing fouls, he's a guy that can shift momentum into either direction. And of course, the fans in London really love him there.
Well, he was a favorite when he was here for, I think, 2 years early on. I did call a number of his games at that time. And he was a great passing man at the time. He slowed down a little bit with some of the injuries, but he's still effective when he gets the ball in the low post. Very effective, and makes both his foul shots. His biggest detriment is his temper. So Cadogan with the ball up top. Kyle Johnson, flash to Ryan Anderson. Quick coverage that time by Bennett. A turnover, throwing it in traffic, and this is Shaquille Keith taking it to the hoop. And softly off the backboard. London pushing the ball as quick as they can. They're a 3-on three here. Johnson going to stop for the jump shot. White settles it down, throws it in the corner for the jump shot for Williamson. And he is feeling it tonight. He's really mastered that jump shot from 15 feet.
Well, that mid-range little jumper there, that's his bread and butter. That's how he gets the majority of his points. You can't let him have that.
Cadogan trying to fight over that screen from DeAndre Thomas. Called for a holding foul. That is our third team foul for London, fourth team foul for Windsor already in this quarter. Cadogan heading to the bench, and looks like Capers is on. Marcus Capers. So now where's that Doug Herring?
That's Doug Herring Jr.
I'm trying to see. Oh, there he is, number 9. Yep, Doug Herring Jr. Stutz was practicing that quite a bit in the pregame. I think there's some holding on DeAndre Thomas. Or is it going to be called on? Well, it's going to be called on Doug Herring Jr. I thought maybe DeAndre Thomas was sort of leaning on Doug Herring Jr., but obviously he was being held down.
Well, you talk about a size mismatch right there. It doesn't get much more of a mismatch than that. DeAndre Thomas just absolutely bullying down low right now.
This is White and Thomas. Thomas with a little hook shot. A little bit off that time. And the crowd razzes him. See how he handles that. But that is a good matchup between Royce White and DeAndre Thomas, both strong post players. And they're guarding each other down the other end as well. Kyle Johnson up top. Here Williamson. Stutz is given lots of room to shoot if he wants. Typically, White won't shoot the three, but Johnson will, and he buries it that time. Got his feet set. Nice rotation on the ball. He makes his first three tonight.
I love how you can see Royce White directing that play too, getting Anderson to set that screen so Johnson could open up.
DeAndre with the ball down low. He's banging with Royce White. White really forcing him into a tough shot. And DeAndre sort of forcing it. And that's a beauty thing with Royce White guarding DeAndre Thomas. He doesn't need any help. No double team required. Here's a run out for Windsor. Good hustle back by Doug Herring Jr. and Tony Bennett exposed the ball just enough for him to knock the ball and stop that fast break. We'll see how long White stays in here. I think another good matchup would be Marvin Phillips, who normally comes in for Royce White. Right now, White staying in against DeAndre Thomas. Logan Stutz with a big mismatch with Doug Herring Jr. So Windsor's smart to exploit that. He does a little hook shot, unable to convert as well. Ryan Anderson with a rebound. Johnson throwing the ball up top. A little ball fake by Anderson, and Johnson zips to the corner, unable to convert that three. Stutz with the long reach, just a little too fast. Couldn't slow down enough to put it off the backboard. And DeAndre Thomas, and I love this referee, Rich Stellick. If you don't know him, he is probably the best ref in the league. I think he was honored
won
for
the
that
award
as well.
for it.
And I had spoken highly of him here earlier this year. And DeAndre Thomas, a deliberate foul on Royce White as he's cutting through the key to make that pass. And Stellick is taking nothing of it, snuffing out that.
And considering how often these teams have gotten into some heated discussions on the floor, I think it's smart to just calm that down right away and make sure it doesn't get too heated at any point here.
Looking underneath here at the handoff to Stutz, seeing some highlights from the first part of the quarter here. Windsor down 15-10 to the London Lightning. And right now it's been a battle of bigs, really, is what we've been seeing. A couple of three-pointers in the here. What, a 2 for 4 for London, 1 for 3 for Windsor. It's really a battle of the bigs at moments that we're watching. Stutz and DeAndre and Patillo against really White underneath.
You know, kind of a little bit of a shocking stat considering how well Windsor shot from outside in Game 1. They've only made one shot outside the key in this in this quarter. Nothing else really going. They made the one corner three, otherwise everything's had to be in the key.
Well, it looks like an emphasis or a focus tonight for Windsor to get the ball inside. They have some good options, like we said. Haven't seen Nick Evans yet, but it looks like he might be coming on the floor. DeAndre Thomas with that, I don't know what to call it, sort of foolish foul, I would say. So he gets replaced immediately by Nick Evans. He was having a good effect, was Thomas, when he was on the floor. Okay, so foul player, in this case Royce White, going to the line for that intentional foul from Windsor. He should be shooting 2, and it should be London ball back at the half. Been able to convert the first one. So 4 team fouls and 5 team fouls. 4 for London, 5 for Windsor at the 6-minute mark. And I keep saying that because in this league, when you hit 7 team fouls, the other team shoots twice. None of this 1-on-1 bonus. You're shooting on every foul that's happening. So Windsor creeping closer to that 7 mark. So Herring Jr. with the ball up top. Joel Friesen in the game right now for London as well. That's big Nick Evans holding his own against Royce White. And
Triple teamed him.
and White's still able to get that ball back and force his way on, really in a triple team. And then he draws the foul from Nick Evans, I believe.
It's almost like the strategy for Windsor is anytime he gets the ball, just everyone crowd him. That time Royce White, though, able to move the ball away. No one got a hand on it. And unfortunately unable to make the shot. But when you've got that much pressure on you, odds are you're going to get fouled. So he's going to go to the line here.
Makes his first. So Ben is still on the floor along with Keith, Darren Duncan, Nick Evans, and Logan Stutz for Windsor. Garrett Williamson along with Doug Herring Jr., Royce White, Ryan Anderson, and Joel Friesen on for London. This is Duncan with the ball up top. Looks like an early screen coming from Evans. They do have a mismatch underneath. See if they can take advantage of it and duck under from that block from Royce White. That was a good move by Duncan. Unable to convert. This is Williamson. He's going to take it to the hoop. No, he's going to flash it around the key. Doug Herring Jr. can make the 3 as well. Not that time. He is a capable 3-point shooter as well. And White working hard for the rebound. Good no call, I think, that time by the referee. That's a travel by Royce White, I believe, or it's going to be a foul on Keith causing that travel. It is a foul on Keith.
That is going to be the foul there. We're going to see Mo Bolden step onto the floor. He's a guy who's slowly been earning more minutes as the season progressed. He was a late add, and of course he's a familiar face for Windsor fans as well. He played a year with the Express, and they spent this season with the Austin Spurs of the NBA D League. He was a first-round pick in that league, and he's come here to London. He's starting to get some more prime minutes, I'd say.
Well, it says how much depth London has that a player from the NBA D League, one level below the NBA really, is unable to crack the opening lineup here for London Lightning and is looking for spot time and having to earn every minute he's got. Oh, what a vision by White. He had sort of lost his balance, but had enough presence of mind to switch hands, wrap it around the body of his opponent, and give it to a flashing Doug Herring Jr. underneath the basket. Maurice Jones now on the floor for Windsor. He was a huge spark plug for Windsor in the first game. Will Bolden with his first rebound. Anderson still on the floor. Bolden's going to take a 3. Haven't seen him shot too many of them this year. Keith just finding his way, weaving his way to the hoop. Friesen unable to keep him in front on the dribble. Well, 20-10, 10-point lead. This is a familiar refrain from the first game, I think. This is sort of the same kind of pattern that we saw in the first quarter, in the first game.
Also has a similar pace to it where, we see moments of, running back and forth transition basketball the way Lightning like to play. But then when Windsor sets the pace, it's really slowed it down, almost to a crawl, the pace of the game, and that's what we're experiencing right now.
Well, Marvin Phillips in the ball game for Royce White. Some good matchups all over the floor here. In particular, we're looking for Doug Herring Jr., who's got Maurice Jones on him. He was pestering him to no end, and it was all that Doug Herring Jr. could do was to stay in bounds and throw it off his opponent, with Maurice Jones just hounding him to the baseline. Bennett back on the floor. This is Phillips. He makes the long three. Nick Evans couldn't fight through the screen quick enough to prevent that shot. And now we've got a battle of bigs underneath between Evans and Phillips, and they're looking for Evans underneath.
Again, Phillips has experience playing against Nick Evans. They're both NBLC veterans.
Anderson with another rebound. 14 in the last game, along with some clutch three-point shooting. Here's the mismatch that London's trying to exploit with Jones and Herring, and the ball swings around to Friesen to the side, and he makes his three.
It had been a while for London to make a three before those two big ones there. That makes the defense have to spread out and guard that perimeter, opening up driving lanes, which had been working for them earlier.
Wow, what a hang time by Maurice Jones, driving against a taller opponent. Gets hit, sort of delays his descent, I would say, and then puts the ball in the net yet. My goodness, terrific play by the rookie of the year in the league.
And for a smaller guy, you would think, maybe they aren't always going to be cutting to the rim as much, but he really does a great job drawing the contact and adjusting for it. He gets himself to the free throw line quite a fair amount.
He makes his free throw, so 3-point play. 26-13 here, 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Friesen throws the ball all the way over top to Bolden. He's got Logan Stutz on him. That's a good size matchup. Bolden throws it underneath to Phillips, and he definitely got, we saw lassoed maybe. How's that? Roped, hogtied. That time by Ellenson, I believe, is a foul, number 30. Terrific pass by Maurice Bolden. Hesitating, ball faking, and throwing it under to his teammate Phillips, who goes to the foul line for 2.
And it's going to be important for guys to make these contributions for the London Lightning. They didn't really have the bench work in the way you would think during Game 1, but if they can get some help here from their depth, that would be great.
Yeah, it's sort of uncharacteristic of a London team. We've seen throughout the year the bench score nearly as much as the starters throughout most of the year. But not last game. Stutz fumbles the ball up top. He's got Bolden on him. This is Bennett, who was shooting the ball very well in the first game. Had made his first three-pointer, but missed his second. Kyle Johnson back on the floor. Maurice Bolden wondering what he did to throw Bennett down to the floor. Bennett's laying flat on the floor, and Bolden's going, I didn't do anything, but
yeah, I think Bennett went down.
The ref was standing right beside there.
Bennett did go down just a touch easily on that.
See it right here. There's a right arm leading into the defender. Just enough to knock him down, I guess. So London switching on every screen, it looks like, not fighting through, so a lot of mismatches are occurring. That time, Logan Stutz had a much smaller Kyle Johnson on him, but Windsor did not see it in time. If you watch London, they switch almost every screen. They switch.
And I think it's a bit of confidence out there, because really, when you look at their positions 1 through 4, they're all around similar heights. They've got long arms. They've got a lot of guys out there who can be kind of rangy defenders.
Well, they don't really have any small players like we would term like a Maurice Jones or even a Bennett or even a Darren Duncan. They don't really have anybody like that. Kyle Johnson driving hard to the hoop, denied by Windsor. Balls to the floor. Bennett with a quick three. That time, Ellison skying up there, trying to tap it back in.
Nick Evans and Mo Bolden getting into it a bit there.
Yeah, looks like Mo Bolden talking a bit, and Nick Evans taking offense at. The referees were right in between it. Coach Kyle Julius pulls Bolden right off to the sideline right away.
I like that from Coach Julius, controlling his player. Bill Jones doing the same thing here, talking to Nick Evans.
Both coaches on the floor. Not sure if there's a timeout called or not, but the referees are deciding what's happening here for fifth fouls, if any. Maybe offsetting fouls is what
I believe so.
Seeing by the gestures down there.
Again, I like seeing both coaches getting their players out of there. They don't need any trouble when they're trying to make a playoff run here.
Well, Evans and Bolden got the unsportsmanlike fouls in that case. So Stutz back on the bench. Keith inside along with Ellison and Maurice Jones, who's getting hounded all over the floor by two players. This is Ellison with the ball. Quick from the backside comes Kyle Johnson. That was blocked.
I don't know
Maurice Jones?
I don't know if it was blocked, but there was a little bit of contact there that was enough to disturb Kyle Johnson's attempt at the rim there. I don't know if he actually got a hand on it, though.
He certainly looked like he got high enough and put the hand out there. Either way, the easy layup was not made by Kyle Johnson due to Jones.
Johnson was gesturing as if he got hit in the back of the head, though. Maybe that's what disrupted it.
Either way, no foul called. And Phillips just bullying his way over Keith, I believe it is that time. No, that is Bennett, I believe, sitting on the ground. Phillips, of course, a much larger player. Good recognition by London Lightning for the mismatch. Looks like that's what both teams are looking for on each end of the floor. What are the mismatches and to exploit them? And both teams are being pretty physical early in the game, unlike last game where it didn't get physical really till the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it seemed like Windsor was almost trying to avoid fouls like the plague during the first quarter of the last game. But this time, no fear at all of that. We've seen a very physical game so far, but unfortunately for Windsor, the foul situation hasn't been great in their front court. They've got Evans and Patillo both sitting at 2 fouls early in the game.
So Phillips makes his 2. Substitution coming in. Bennett heading to the bench. And Duncan coming back. I have not seen Warren Ward yet. I'm looking to see if he's been out here yet. He played a significant role the last game, but has not come off the bench yet as Warren Ward. Ellison with the ball up top. Like I said, they're switching on every screen. Our London, so now a huge mismatch between the big and the small. Phillips and Duncan we're talking about. This is Jones with Johnson with a ball fake crossover dribble. He's very quick. He had to throw the ball up. Good recognition that the shot clock was gone, but again, London's tenacious defense throwing his shot, making him force it. Nobody rotating to Johnson. I think he's got his shooting night going tonight. We had mentioned that he had not been shooting the ball particularly well in the last little while, but we know he's capable of doing it at any time.
He kind of runs hot and cold, but I think he's been hot so far tonight, and this is a guy who, when he does heat up, he had a 51-point game this season, so you do not want him to get going.
Duncan drawing a foul on that drive from Phillips. 33-13, 20-point lead here in the first quarter. Wow.
I really did not see this kind of a lead opening up in the first based on how game 1 went. We didn't see a lead bigger than 12, and here we're at 20 already.
Doesn't feel like a 20-point lead, but London's definitely shooting the ball well. Windsor, every shot seems to be contested. That should be London's ball or Windsor's ball.
I believe it's going to be Windsor ball. I think
Keith had touched it at the very end, but must have been knocked out by Herring.
I think Phillips actually just got a little hand on it.
Oh, at the very end. Okay,
there.
I wondered about that. Okay, some more substitution. Bolden still in, but Royce White is in the game with Friesen, Johnson, and Herring. We got Jones, Duncan, Allenson, Evans, and Keith for Windsor. 20 seconds left. About 1 second differential here between the shot clock and the quarter clock. Evans come to set up a high screen.
What a pass.
Saying that was a good recognition by Duncan. Throw the ball back out to Jones. He almost had committed totally to going to the basket at the last second, realized he was not getting his shot off.
What I found incredible with that is not only did he see Jones from behind him when he wasn't really looking that direction at all, but he also managed to look off. He had a player on the side there, just off to the wing there, and he looked off him to hit Jones with the pass.
And Evans in for the offensive rebound, gets the foul, and he's on the foul line. 33-15. And it rims out. Bolden going hard. He got 3 seconds to go. He's going to pull up for a jumper. No call. I think he was looking for a call from Evans. I like that. That's a no call from the referee. He jumped into Evans, even though Evans didn't leave his feet. He went straight up. So 33-15, by doing the math, that's 18-point lead in the first quarter. The biggest lead so far in this series.
And I'm glad you mentioned that London had been contesting a lot of the Windsor shots, because I mean, it's really not a good shooting night for the Express. Only 18% shooting in that first quarter, 4 of 22 in that quarter. So a really rough shooting night from Windsor. Again, London's doing a great job of getting in and contesting those shots and making life difficult for the Windsor Express. Earlier in the game, we mentioned that they hadn't made they'd only made one shot outside of the key, and that continued. They have one three-pointer out in the corner, and that's the only shot from outside the key.
1 for 8, I see. Yep.
Yeah, that's the only shot outside of the key that Windsor was able to make in that quarter. So London just doing a great job of contesting everything on the outside and making life difficult on the inside.
Well, a lot of times my measure for London is looking at their assist total, and they are up to 8 already. They've had, I think, the first 2 games we did anyway for London with Orangeville, they were over double digits in the first quarter, like 10 and 11.
Yeah,
and last game they were at 10 as well, and now this time 8.
Well, their ball movement, when they had that winning streak, the chemistry between them really was like outstanding during that streak, and I feel like that chemistry it never went away, but it's been just as strong now in the playoffs as it was when they were on that winning streak.
And the rebounds, London really taking care of the boards, even with the bigs from Windsor being in. 17 rebounds for London Lightning, only 8 for the Windsor Express.
And that's so many extra opportunities that you're giving the London Lightning. This is a team that's feeling it, and then you're giving them extra shots. London shot 9 of 22, which is an all-right number, but the reason they've put this gap up is their three-point shooting has been phenomenal. They're 50% from three-point land. 5 of their 9 shots are three-pointers. And specifically looking at the shot chart, they've got one just a bit to the right of the top of the key beyond the three-point line. They have been drilling their shots from that spot. So for London, that's probably a good place to go on the floor if you want to get a bucket.
Well, we've seen this the first game, and we know what happened in the first game. It turned out to be a 2-point win when all was said and done, so we are not writing off the Windsor Express by no means, no how. But this gap is a little bit bigger than it was in the first half, and maybe a little bit bigger a hill to climb than the first game. This time inside it goes, and White pushing Juan Patillo really out of position illegally, I would say, as Patillo was in the air grabbing the ball. He's pushing him forward. I think that's his first one, I believe. And again, the double clutch in the air. Allison floats through the air, avoids the contact, puts the ball off the backboard, 33-17. Anderson back on the floor as well. Kyle Johnson's been shooting well this first quarter. Made a couple threes. Doug Herring Jr. on there. He was tempted to shoot the three, but did not. That does a fallback, drop back, jump shot. Unable to convert. Duncan with the ball up top. Got Williamson back on the floor as well. Wow. You see what I'm saying about the smalls from Windsor? They just are able to get to the rim, but they're able to get enough hang time to make adjustments or take the contact, still get their shot off, and this time he made it as well. Both Jones and both Darren Duncan have done that 2 or 3 times in this game already. I am just so amazed by their ability to penetrate the hole with contact in traffic and still get the shot off.
Well, they're both smaller guards who play bigger, and they're really not afraid of that contact. Sometimes you see a smaller player and they kind of want to hang out around the outskirts all game long. These guys go for it.
Looking for White inside. Patillo back on the floor with those 2 quick fouls in the first quarter. He's back on the floor along with White. A little bounce pass between the legs for Johnson. Step back jumper. Johnson is feeling it, and his teammates are recognizing it and feeding him the ball more and more as his shooting continues.
Yeah, that's his 3rd three-pointer of the game. He's got half of London's three-pointers just by himself.
Well, maybe for Windsor's sake, I shouldn't have said anything about his poor shooting as he's turned it on. I jinxed him. Good for Johnson, though. Patillo with a soft jumper underneath. Nice box out by Garrett Williamson that time. Anderson right through the lane. Williamson going to the hoop as well. He's able to avoid the contact from Darren Duncan, who was all of a sudden he was in his way, but got the soft shot up and over the rim. Pace of play picking up a bit here. And Anderson guarding Patillo this time. Ball all the way across the court. This is a shot that we've seen Keith take before. That one was missed badly, but he can make those. And the hot man is open and left alone. I don't know what else to tell you, but I did say he was shooting well. I don't know why nobody was covering him.
And I mean, that's got to be something. You see a guy who had a 51-point game, and you can't leave him like that at the three-point line. You got to close out.
Cadogan guarding a much taller player. White comes with a great double team, and Patillo's unable to hang on to it. From the harassment from White on the passer, and Anderson rotating underneath for Patillo.
Yeah, there was a lot of great teamwork happening on that play. You had Anderson pick up Patillo after White left, and that was a great recognition by White to see Cadogan faced against a much larger Shaq Keith come over and help, and then Ryan Anderson adjusted accordingly too.
Putting the pressure on the passer and the receiver. Cadogan with the ball to hand to Johnson. He had a mind to go, and this time Cadogan drives it hard to the hoop. It's Williamson. Again, just finding his way to the rim, just not taking no for an answer, finding and willing his way to the hoop.
He almost looks like a basketball, the way he's bouncing between players going his way to the rim.
Well, looks like London's willing to live with Shaquille Keith's three-point shots. It's good help by Johnson to cut off the back door from Keith, but now he's left alone. Johnson left just a little too early. Williams still under there. He is just working it. He had raced down the floor, and Anderson saw that alley-oop. He missed the alley-oop, missed his putback, and for a third attempt got rewarded.
Well, that hustle right there from Garrett Williamson. He wasn't the tallest player there, but he still came up with the board, able to convert on the play. Just excellent hustle. Garrett Williamson just had one of the best stretches we've seen in playoffs there.
His teammates congratulating him. He really is, I would say, the de facto leader / captain of this team. We know White probably is the best player, maybe, and he also is a leader, but Garrett Williamson, by virtue of a returning player and his seniority in the league and his style of play, leads by example. He is what I would call the leader of the London Lightning.
And you know, he had 14 points in game one and then has had 25 plus points since. He's been one of their best players all playoff long. Again, this is a guy who they don't necessarily need to call on him to do the scoring, but when he gets going, he really can fill the bucket. This is a former Canadian of the Year here, and a guy who's a real special talent in this league.
Some of the replays there in the last few minutes. Defensive assignment blown here. Let's see if this is the one where... Trying to see what play this one is. Oh, this is the one where Williamson's working hard. Padding his stats, I would say. Got two rebounds on that play. You get an assist for passing it to yourself? You don't, eh?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That would make triple doubles a little less impressive.
Well, he gets extra rebound credit for all that hard work. How's that? Anyway, Kyle Johnson, hot shooter, and between him and Garrett Williamson, they've shot the London Lightning to a 22-point lead here in the second quarter. Windsor had been able to keep London around the 9-10 mark in the first game. That's ballooned, I think, a 1 point to 12, but no longer, no bigger than that. This is much more significant lead, 22 points. Here at the Budweiser Gardens, between a nice home crowd here on a Sunday afternoon. Duncan rises up and over and drills that shot over top of Ryan Anderson. Windsor trying to get their defensive assignments in line here. They have trouble sometimes matching up with the speed, really, of the wingmen that you keep mentioning for the London Lightning. Tillo with the slam from Keith.
Just
turnover.
Good transition. Just good transition off a turnover.
Patillo running the floor hard and getting rewarded. He really was a spark plug in that first game in that third quarter. I think he had scored something like the first 8 points. White unable to convert with that left-hander and a little bit more pace here. Patillo, no call. unable to make the easy putback there. Gets his own rebound back, throws it in the corner for the wide open three. Unable to convert is Maurice Jones. They need to bury those ones if they want to get back in this game after that hard work from Patillo. Johnson just on a platter from Ryan Anderson, but he does not bury it that time. Again, Windsor not back in transition defense. And again, the hang time and the ability to get off their shot under traffic, Darren Duncan, cannot be overstated. He is creating those fouls and sometimes converting as well.
You know, they've really stuck with this smaller backcourt here for quite an extended time now with Duncan and Jones.
And now Bennett's come in as well. 2 bigs, 3 smalls.
I think part of the reason we're seeing Bennett in the game is they didn't like some of the foot speed in terms of who was covering those London wing guys. I saw a couple of times there where one of those wings, if there had been a screen set, they would have just broken free, absolutely. So, unfortunately for London, they were not. They were going to lose that mismatch that they'd been winning for a bit.
Okay, so Phillips back in the ball game for Royce White. Anderson to the bench with Joel Friesen coming in for him. Logan Stutz and Juan Patillo are the 2 bigs for the Windsor Express, who are down by 16 points. But based on their 3-point shooting proficiency in the last game, they can shoot themselves back in this game quite quickly. Friesen playing with the mismatch, and up and over he goes. No double team that time to help out the defender, and he took full advantage of it. Bennett looking for his shooting eye to come back, unable to convert that time. This is Williamson looking to get to the rim. Phillips working hard for the offensive board, and London really dominating on the rebounds. A little surprising sometimes what we're seeing. What are we seeing on the stats there?
Yeah, that number 2 is up to 22 to 13. The rebounds right now. London with 5 offensive boards.
A little surprised at that with the size that Windsor has inside.
Well, especially with the guys on the floor right now.
Good help defense by Cadogan that time to double team guy driving the baseline, and Bennett steps out of bounds before he passes the ball. 2 or 3 good rotations we've seen from London. Again, Windsor being hounded into forced and contested shots. Their shooting percentage still in the 20s. A little weave and give and go on the top with Phillips, the recipient of the wide open shot. No hesitation that time. And you knew DeAndre Thomas could not get out in time to even contest that one. DeAndre Thomas back on the floor. Junior Cadogan running the ball hard. He's looking. Phillips look for the 3, does not able to get it off. He's got the physical size mismatch inside. Cadogan going hard to the hole, that time out of control with Stutz in his face. And can anybody keep up with the speedy Jones? And he gets hammered by Garrett Williamson. Again,
Williamson,
rewarded for his tenacity at the basket.
Yeah, Williamson just making sure there was no bucket on that play. But down on the other end here, Marvin Phillips doing some great things here for the London Lightning. He's actually shooting perfect right now, 3 of 3 on the night. Or the day, pardon me. It's not night yet.
So still no Warren Ward. I mentioned that once already, and I see one of our fans on the screen is also wondering. We don't have any word about Warren Ward, if he's injured or why he's not playing. He was a terrific addition or contribution in the first game, helped spark that run in the 3rd quarter, but we have not seen him tonight. So we'll have to see if we can find out at halftime if there's some restriction on his playing because of an injury possibly. So just a little over 5 minutes to go in this somewhat slower game than we had in the first. That's Williamson with his patented jump shot from the foul line. That floater, again, from Maurice Jones. Just able to get into the key at will, rise up for that shot. We still are down by 22, though. Phillips with a long 3. He's feeling it, and he is feeling it.
Absolutely,
no hesitation.
Absolutely a heat check, and it checked out. He's 3 of 3 from beyond the arc, 4 of 4 on the game. He's feeling it.
Nice backdoor cut. Again, Bennett under pressure. Unable to convert. Kyle Julius saves. Who's that? Darren Duncan out from falling over on the chair. He just puts him in a bear hug, prevents any injury. Thank you, Coach Julius.
Yeah, that's actually a really nasty spot too, because that's now that the ice is gone and the floorboards are out, you flip over those chairs, that's concrete right there.
Stutz back in the game. He's got Cadogan on him. This is Williamson staying with him, and looked like DeAndre Thomas got the offensive board. And Marvin Phillips, I think, was just sort of leaning on him, and the ref called the foul. I think he called it early. He didn't want anything more physical happening, I'm thinking. Here's what I'm talking about when the guard's going to the hoop. That time Williamson stuck with him, and DeAndre Thomas just fell in his hands with Phillips draped all over him. So we've gone now with 3 bigs, I would say. We've got Logan Stutz, DeAndre Thomas, and I'm going to call Shaquille Keith a big as well, and 2 small point guards, Maurice Jones and Tony Bennett. For London, they go on White's come back in the game for Phillips. And really, they got 4 guards, 4 wing guys, however you want to say it, and Royce White. So interesting matchup here for London. Going far to the hole, that pass a little too hard by Joel Friesen to a streaking Doug Herring Jr. That looked like a touchdown play.
Yeah, he definitely outkicked his coverage a bit there by sending it that far.
White back inside, good recovery to get back on. Quite a battle with DeAndre Thomas holding position. Thomas just helps create the lane that time for Keith to get to the hoop. London a little too late to recover. Friesen flexing his left leg again. It's been a reoccurring issue for him. I think it's hyperextended knee, I believe, is what he has. It's just so easy to tweak it and re-injure it again. It's nothing that really can prevent him from playing. Really, he has to fight through it sometimes, but he's quickly off the floor and on the bench.
And the good thing is he is staying on the bench. He's not going to the locker room, so I think it might be something he just needs to rest up on.
Keith makes his first. 56-34 if you want to know the score. That's 22 points still. No inroads made by Windsor in the second quarter. 35 points in total so far scored by Windsor. A very low scoring half for the Windsor Express. Look like they're trying to find Royce White inside, but he's got pushed out quite a bit by, good job by Stutz that time. I think that's going to be a blocking foul. It is. I thought perhaps White had pushed him, but Stutz unable to keep ahead of White on that drive, and he draws the foul. I'm looking at the fouls on the score clock. 17 fouls for London, only 1 for Windsor. Is that correct?
That is correct. In fact, for the game, it's 17 fouls on London and 11 fouls for Windsor.
Well, it hasn't impacted London Lightning's rotation or their scoring.
Yeah, other than Marvin Phillips, no one over 2 fouls. Phillips is at 3, that's why he had to come off despite the hot shooting.
Darren Duncan with the pull-up jumper.
He's so good at that step back.
He does. He just separates 4 or 5 feet. Is almost like he springs back, doesn't he? What do they call that? The backwards long jump or something?
the backwards long jump. Yes,
something like
the worst Olympic
backwards
event.
standing long jump. Yeah, but he does that. He just plants his foot and steps back and separates. It looks like 4 or 5 feet, and the defender cannot recover. And he just has a smooth shot on his jump shot. This is Anderson with a wide open 3. Windsor totally unaware of what's going on. He just doesn't make them pay. A lot of assignments are being talked about with Windsor. A little confusion on the defensive side, it looks like. And again, inside it goes to DeAndre. The little spin move, trying to get his way in there, and he does draw the foul. Kyle Johnson unable to hold his position. And that's DeAndre Thomas as most effective.
Yeah, this is where he can really show his stuff, is when he plays that physical game. Guys kind of just have to hang on to him. That gets the team in foul troubles. That messes up with the coach's rotation. Really creates a lot of havoc for the game plan. So that's why I think DeAndre Thomas, even in games where he's not necessarily putting up a ton of points, he can really change the momentum and flow of a game that way.
Friesen reporting to the score clock, so it looks like recovered from that tweak. He'll be back on the floor. DeAndre Thomas with his second foul shot, and he makes it. Friesen coming in for Kyle Johnson. Johnson going out. He had a hot shooting stretch there. We haven't heard too much from him the last few minutes, but he had that hot shooting stretch, and that shot London into this 18-point lead. Herring with the little bounce pass. DeAndre with good recovery to help. Slaps the ball out of Garrett Williamson's hand. Again, that hang time so critical. Keith with a soft left-hander slashes down the lane, no resistance. Down to 16 points. 3 minutes to go. Good no call, but a terrific finish by Doug Herring Jr. He was trying to draw a foul on DeAndre Thomas. DeAndre just stood strong and held his own. Again, the hang time, but unable to put it in the right place that time, Darren Duncan. I thought that was a good no call by the referee. An even better finish by Doug Herring Jr. that time.
I agree with you there. I don't think there should have been a call, but wow, the adjustment to contact and able to finish. Great job by Herring Jr. Windsor's slowly clawing back in the rebound category. I think that's part of why they've had a better second quarter here than they did in the first. Starting to get some of those extra opportunities for themselves.
Anderson with a miss. This is Keith again trying to drive to the hole. I do believe, it is a foul called. Calling it on Friesen. I thought that Keith just had lost his balance on that spin around.
I thought he just hit a wet spot.
Yep, that's what I thought too also, but referee feels there's a little bit of an assist that time by Friesen as he was spinning. He's going to the foul line to cut into this 18-point lead that London has currently. Just over 2 minutes to go in the second quarter. Keith makes his first. And he makes his second. So down to 16 points again. See if Windsor can finish with a flourish, or at least keep London off the board the last 2 minutes of this quarter. Friesen with the ball up top, underneath to Royce White. He's got Friesen at the three-point line, who shoots a quick one, does not make it. He had made his first one, but not that one. Pace definitely slowed down here with Windsor trying to measure what is London doing. What can they do? Again, that step back, unable to get his shot off that time. That's going to be an overplay by Doug Herring Jr. He sends Duncan flying again right to those
the same
seats
spot.
there. Kyle Julius not close enough that time to grab him. So, because they're over the 17 fouls, they will be shooting 2. And this is what I like about DeAndre Thomas when he's calm, collected on the floor. Willing to play physical but not lose his temper. I find he's a very effective player. And that has helped Windsor crawl a little bit back in this game, at least get it down from 22 to 16, partly due to his contribution.
Well, it's just some signs of life that show that the rubber band hasn't quite snapped yet. As we like to talk about when we're on air here, he just kind of causes havoc. And I think the thing with Thomas is that's one of the reasons Windsor has kept him as long as they have, because they recognize that he can change the flow of a game.
Williamson again working hard, unable to get his rebound that time, but trying to draw a foul, driving to the hole. Windsor fortunate that time that he didn't convert. Williamson's got the task of guarding DeAndre Thomas. Throw the ball all the way across to Logan Stutz. This is Keith. Ooh, a tough shot. Fadeaway. He makes it look easy. Almost shades of Akeem Olajuwon.
The dream.
The dream. A little dream shake there. Anderson hasn't scored too much this game. He's been playing steady on defense and getting his rebounds, but has not had a high-scoring game. Williamson's made that shot many times in this game. That has got to be his 4th or 5th 15-foot jump shot. He is deadly. We're going to call him DeMar II. I think he's having a little more playoff success than DeMar is.
I would say so.
Again, contested pass thrown out of bounds by Windsor. Careless turnover that time with 32 seconds left. 15-point lead. They have cut it down from 22 to 15. Anderson edged by Stutz that time. White with the big screen and unable to convert. Rushed his shot a little bit. I don't think he realized he was that wide open. Going to settle for the last shot here are the Windsor Express. 13 seconds to go. Down to 10. See if they can get it down to 13 points, which would have been as close as they've been probably for almost a quarter. Settling for the jump shot. Three-pointer, unable to convert, and White gets the defensive board. So 60 to 45, so Windsor did cut it down from 22 points to 15 points, but they got an uphill battle here unless they come out like they did the last game. They were down, I think, 10 at the half, and then they shot to an 8 or 10 point lead in that third quarter in the first game. Will we say that again?
I wouldn't be surprised if we did, to be honest. Bill Jones, one of the best at making adjustments in the league. We often see him come out of either a timeout or a half, and his team looks completely different. So I definitely don't think Windsor's out of it. 15 points in the NBL can disappear in a hurry. So they've got a whole half to try and claw it back. I mean, they went on a 26-7 run to open the half last game. If they do that again, there's your 15.
I'm with you. So it was 22 down to 15, a little more manageable. Windsor quite capable. Let's see if London's tenacious defense will keep them from being able to do that. So I'm John Van Howling along with Chris Croucher calling the game from here. The Budweiser Gardens at the halves. London Lightning 60 and the Windsor Express 45. We're going to let Aaron and Justin do the halftime stats and talk.
We have a 15-point game here at the intermission. London Lightning taking matters in their own hands early in game 2, and we're here for the Knoxham halftime. JP, even though the Windsor Express are cutting down this lead, it's quite significant that the London Lightning are using Garrett Williamson, who's striking it rich once again. But if you have to go back to the first quarter, here's one question you got to ask if you're the Windsor Express fans. What in the name of basketball happened to their shooting?
I don't even know how to answer that. That was how bad their shooting was. 18% from the field. It was just absolute ugly quarter to watch, that first quarter. I don't even know how to describe it. They looked out sync offensively, defensively, in just about every single aspect of the game. it just was an ugly quarter to watch. They turned it around a bit offensively in the second, but the defense is still out of sync overall.
After one point where they shot about 19% from the field, they picked up the intensity by letting the bigs do the work. You have DeAndre Thomas getting it inside, and then you see Shaq Keith, who had a hot day at the beginning, but now he's trying to step up. Now it's only a matter of if the guards will take care of this.
Yes, right now you mentioned Shaq Keith. He's shooting 5 for 11, 1 of 4 from outside, and 4 of 6 from the stripe, leading the way in scoring. It hasn't been a pretty game overall if you're Shaq Keith. That's for sure. You mentioned the guard play, though. They definitely have to step up. Tony Bennett, 0 of 5. Darren Duncan, 3 of 6 from the field. He's been distributing the ball well with 5 assists, but there's also been a few turnovers mixed into there as well. So you have to play better in all aspects of this game to have a shot. Right now, I think, though, if it wasn't for the performance of how they came back and slowly crawled back in that second quarter, this game might have been up by London might have been up by 30 by now. They're lucky to be down by just 15.
Exactly. We see Marvin Phillips on the London Lightning striking a rich. That could be one of the X factors once again, as it's been the case for probably the last few games.
Yes, Marvin Phillips right now. You mentioned the stripe from outside the stripe, 3 of 3 from outside right now. In fact, the whole team basically is on fire, 8 of 17 as a whole. So right now, that is going very well. Even when Windsor has played good defense, they just are able to shoot right over the defender and make the big shot from outside. It's just been looking like a parade. Garrett Williamson having a 3 on top of that. You have also Kyle Johnson with his 3 triples. Joe Friesen got 1 as well. It's just Windsor struggling to defend them in everything.
But even though they were struggling, they're still trying to eat away at this lead. They're taking wise shots, and that's why they're here where they are now. We have an upset alert, actually. Game 1 of the Atlantic Division Finals. Give it to the Island Storm, who won by 4. Jahi Carson led the way, and nobody expect this win. But then again, when it comes to the Island Storm this year, they are a team of unpredictable superheroes.
Yes, Jahiel Carson, you mentioned getting 21 points on the night, along with his 7 assists and 5 rebounds. Great performance from him, leading the way. In fact, multiple players leading the way on top of that. Terry Thomas stepping up with 20 points himself. Rashad Wax, 17, 18 points on top of that from Akeem Ellis. And then on top of that, 14 from Al Stewart and Terrell Baines with 13. Everybody, a collective effort from the Island Storm, shooting 56% to win that game in a big one to start off that series.
And C.J. Washington did all he can to get Halifax right on his back, leading scoring with 30 points. I mean, top of the line stat line for him, but unfortunately his team goes down 0-1 as the Island Storm now has a home court advantage.
Yes, it came down to the wire really, because that game was an absolute shootout overall when you look at the stats, because Halifax, if a couple shots went differently, they might be still in overtime at this point. That's how close it was, because they shot 55% themselves. Both teams really played well in the first game of the Atlantic Finals. The Island Storm, of course, the ones coming out on top. I expect to see a similar fight in Game 2.
And we got to expect plenty more things right here at Budweiser Gardens. The second half, Windsor Express really got to pick it up on wise shots. And Shaq Keith, he doesn't have to take a lot of shots, but he could be very efficient on the other parts of the court as well.
Yes, right now, while Windsor was able to improve in that second quarter shooting-wise, in the half they shot 33%. Right now, they just have to take some smarter shots. And when you have the smarter shots, make them. Because sometimes they've had some open shots and just have missed them or clanked them off the rim. They need to improve on that. They need to take smarter shots, of course. They need to improve on their defensive rotations and pick up on defense. They have to communicate on defense, because a couple times it just has felt like they're disorganized. Turn that around. And you mentioned Shaquille Keith. I think right now you try and get them more a little bit on the inside than the outside, because that's hurting them a bit. At the stripe is where he's helping them right now, and the main reason he's their leading scorer. So just keep on giving the ball inside if you're giving it to Keith, but you definitely need more players to step it up.
Earlier we seen this game getting chippy, so bring on the dippy. The London Lightning, what can they do to stay level-headed and make sure nothing goes out in the open for them to the fact where it might be another scrappy end of the game.
You mentioned that. I'm going to say this to both teams, in fact. Both teams have to keep their emotions in check. You do not want to get a technical or an ejection in a major game like this. You got to keep your emotions in check. Even if one call or two does not go your way, you have to keep your head cool. And that includes London, of course, and Windsor as well. That being said, London, of course, playing very well. They just have to keep what they're doing well, continuing to go. They got to make sure they adjust their offense to win Windsor, adjust their defense, because you know, coming out of that locker room, Windsor's going to be stepping up with more intense defense to try and compensate for what happened in that first half. You also have to keep giving it to your hot hands, Garrett Williamson. Keep it going to Marvin Phillips. Try and get maybe another person involved on top of that, because you have 3 players in double digits. But I think you have to have a 4th person step up just in case. Because if one player has a bad quarter, you need someone to fill in just in case, as I've said many times. Overall, London in a good situation. Just keep the ball moving and keep making smart shots with them overall.
Here. Hopefully nothing gets out of the barn too quick, because it could be another barn burner. But then again, it's a 15-point lead for the London Lightning. Let's see how the rest of this tale unfolds in Game 2. We step away now, but we'll be back for action for Game 2 of the second half right here with John and Chris on the call. But now, this commercial timeout from Notchum.tv.
welcome back, sports fans, to Budweiser Gardens. I'm John Howling, along with Chris Croucher, calling the second half between the London Lightning and the Windsor Express. 60-45 is the score, very similar to the first game, maybe a 10 or 12-point lead, and Windsor came out on fire in that game. Chris, I wonder what they have in their arsenal tonight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting seeing what they do coming out of the half. Juan Patillo on the floor for Windsor. He was a big part of the second half spark last game. He only played 8 minutes in the first, so he's going to be in the first half. He's going to be very fresh in this quarter.
Okay, London possession to start with. Garrett Williamson, the top scorer for London Lightning. And Darren Duncan for the Windsor Express. That was Ryan Anderson. And under and up, and Royce White, he's been missing some of the close ends tonight. A little contested, a little rushed. He's getting his hands on the ball, but unable to convert. That's an overplay by Williamson. He steals the ball, gives it up just in time for Johnson to take it out to the hoop, and he follows again. That's Garrett Williamson with an offensive rebound. I don't know how many he's got tonight, but he's probably got half a dozen of them already. Extends the lead to 17. Keith, one of the leading scorers for Windsor in that first half, takes a long three, and White just way over the top of Stutz. Picked that ball up, and then just like a freight train was Junior Cadogan. He could not hand it off quite in time for his teammate, but he was going hard to the hoop. An overplay again by Anderson, that time unable to keep it. Ryan Anderson with the overplay. Defense from London terrific in that first half, hounding the Windsor Express into a poor shooting percentage.
And we're seeing a lot of the same here. A lot of the shots Windsor's taking are either shots that aren't very likely to go in, and the ones that are in a good spot are heavily contested. So a good start to the half for the Lightning.
Anderson and Stutz working hard, and I think Anderson's going to get a foul for overplaying a little bit on the front there for Logan Stutz, holding on to him. He does get called for the foul.
I don't know why. I think Stutz thought it might be a shooting foul. He went over to the free throw line.
All right, so Windsor ball on the side. A lot of guard play, a lot of minutes from the guards, the small guards, you said, right, from the first half for Windsor.
Yeah, both Duncan and Bennett played 20 minutes each in the first half.
There's that step back again from Duncan. I think Keith with the offensive board. I think Johnson's going to be called for a holding foul. He is. That should not be a shooting foul yet, though. No, it's going to be a Windsor ball in the end. 62-45, 17-point lead. Not quite the same start here we saw in the first game in the second half. See if Windsor can get on track here. Juan Patillo, like you said, played minimal minutes in that first half. Didn't get very many touches. And again, an overplay by Johnson that time, and Windsor not anytime I have ever coached, if the other team is aggressively overplaying, a ball fake goes a long way. Do a ball fake, the player flashes by, and then you make your pass. But they're telegraphing their passes there, Windsor. London taking full advantage of it. Stutz with a long three, and he can make those. That's part of his caliber of his game, inside, outside.
And they really need some three-pointers. They were 1 of 15 in the first half, 6% shooting from beyond the arc. It's only their second made
15.
three.
Wow. Williamson again with the ball outside. Anderson with a quick trigger. Unable to convert. Patillo doing a little tippy-toe dance on the sideline, keeps the ball in bounds, and this is Stutz again with the ball. Quickly picked up by Cadogan. Wide open three for Duncan. He does not make him pay, but Stutz with the offensive board. Those long arms at him, just snagged it out of midair like an outfielder in baseball. Patillo, he likes that jump shot. High arcing, soft shot, unable to convert. We saw him last game put those in. White with the ball up top. Johnson has shooting eye going early. Has he got it now? He does not. Williamson unable to save it. Throws it back under the basket. Good ball movement by Windsor here, and Stutz in his spot he made his last three. How's a wide open look? Good transition basketball by Windsor. Good ball movement, just unable to convert that easy look. They're going to need to make those conversions. They are still down. Williamson, pull-up jumper again, not able to convert, but Anderson with another rebound. If he's not scoring, he's rebounding. If he's not rebounding, he's defensing.
His rebounding over even the back half of the season has just been phenomenal.
A spin move against a smaller player. Oh, and rolls in and out on him. He gets the ball back, it bounces off of him. Unfortunate, but I just love his motor. You know what I'm saying?
He's always going.
Always going.
Always running.
Doesn't matter what's happening. He's always playing hard.
You know, he's kind of. I know a couple times they've talked about how he's almost an MVP candidate just because he does so many things for London. He really is a special talent, and even in a game like tonight, sitting at 0 points, but he's had a big impact both defensively and on the boards.
Tillo again unable to convert, but that's Keith just working hard inside for the offensive board. He's become their leading scorer, I think.
Yeah, that's going to be his 17th points there, leading by a substantial margin for Windsor.
But Tillo with the help defense on Johnson. Pulls the ball up to Bennett. Bennett started the spark plug last time. Him and Patillo were the two that brought Windsor back into the game. And Kyle Julius is just hot. He does not want to see a repeat. If you do the math now, we are down by 9.
And there's a bit of learning here that we're seeing from the London Lightning. Last game, they didn't call the timeout. They tried to let their players play through it. Found themselves down 10 points. This time, he's not going to let that hot shooting happen. Make him sit on the bench, cool off a bit, and see where it goes from there.
Well, Bennett, that's a warning shot across the bow, I think, for London.
100%.
He shot them back in. Him and Patillo were the two spark plugs, along with Warren Ward, who we have not seen tonight. I did see him in uniform. It does not look like he's limping or anything, so I'm not sure what exactly is going on there. Here's Stutz with the wide open three that he made on the replay. 62-53, so we are down. Like I keep doing my math, 7 plus 2 is 9. We're under double digits. It was as high as 22, 15 at the half, 9 here, partway through the third quarter.
You know, this is kind of the scary thing. We talk about that rubber band. It's been slowly closing all throughout the back half of the first half, and in this quarter too. Just slowly but surely, Windsor's been able to crawl back in.
So just looking at some of the stats again from the halftime printout from the scoring bench that you picked up. Thank you so much for that. Really obvious that Juan Patillo played less than 9 minutes. Really curious. He did have some early foul trouble as well. DeAndre Thomas, he did play 9 minutes in that. And Nick Evans, so I'm just talking about the bigs right now. Nick Evans played 6. The majority of the minutes for the big were Logan Stutz and Shaquille Keith, who in turn is the leading scorer as well.
Yeah, and they really did lean heavily on Bennett, Duncan, Stutz, and Keith. All those guys over 17 minutes in that half. Only one other player would even reach double digits other than those 4. That's Mo Jones at 12. You know, one of the other gaps that's been closing, rebounds. London was up by almost double Windsor's rebounds in the first quarter. Now it's only 31-29 difference.
Well, a few substitutions made here by London. Looks like a holding foul. I thought maybe it was going to be an illegal screen on really our first look at Marcus Capers, number 4. Joel Friesen shooting the 3, but no, it's a holding foul on Logan Stutz. I believe his lightning ball down. So Cadogan on the floor yet with Capers as the 2 guards. Cadogan pulling his way to the basket. Can he make it fall in? He does. That is a key basket to stop the momentum from the Windsor Express. And again, like you said, his upper body strength is warding off the defenders and able to finish.
You know, I don't think there's anything that can really stop Junior Cadogan when he decides he wants to get a bucket in the paint. He just puts his head down and goes, and you gotta love it.
And he converts to 3. Back to 12 points. A little full court pressure here by London. Duncan bringing the ball up. Phillips on the floor now. Royce White getting an early substitution. Capers, I think, brought in for his defense. And he hounded Tony Bennett into a turnover. That's going to be a foul on Stutz. Bit of an awkward foul. I don't think intentional.
Yeah, but Friesen's saying it was around the neck area, and that you would think would at least be some sort of a unsporting foul there.
Yeah, not much tolerance for anything from the neck above. But Logan, of course, much taller than Joel Friesen.
And that's going to be, Stutz's third foul there, so there's another big, finding himself in a little bit of foul trouble for Windsor.
Phillips with the ball up top, 4 for 4 shooting from the 3. He had really helped generate that big lead. Friesen that time, a little under pressure that time for his 3, unable to convert. Inside to Patillo. He takes full advantage of his size that time on Garrett Williamson. Great interior pass by Darren Duncan in good position from Patillo. He needs to fight hard to get his spot down there low, I think. No foul call, even though it looked like Williamson got hammered. Still 10 seconds on the shot clock. Quick kick out to Williamson. He's going to have to pull up for his jumper. A little too strong, but that is Phillips way high above the rim, and he pushes the ball back down.
He's just been an absolute beast tonight, and if he hadn't had to sit for those fouls he had in the first half, just think of the numbers he'd have already in limited minutes. He's at 17 points.
Keith putting his head down, and that was Williamson knocking the ball out of bounds. 9 seconds left in the shot clock.
Just to give you an idea of the game Marvin Phillips is having, though, he only played 6 minutes in that first half, and he had 15 points. Perfect shooting.
4 for 4 from the threes, and playing strong defense. He's got Patillo now as part of him. Oh, that's the old backdoor pass from the out-of-bounds pass. As old as the hills, every player knows. The out-of-bounds guy can sometimes be the most dangerous guys. You can't turn your head in the pass. You got to follow where the defender goes, and at all costs, bump him from getting to the net. So Darren Duncan took advantage of a defensive miscue from London that time. Makes his first shot. Does not make a second, but Patillo was up there for the rebound, got slapped out. Phillips leading the fast break up to. That's going to be a charge. I was going to say, I could see it coming. Williamson dropped it off for Phillips, but Phillips had no way. I'll stop that runaway train, and he ran right over the Windsor Express player for the offensive charge. That's unfortunate. I think that's going to be his 4th, I believe you said.
That is going to be his 4th foul, so that puts Phillips in a little bit of foul trouble here.
Nice pass by Williamson. You got to remember who and where you're giving it to the player on the floor. He's unable to do anything with it. Cadogan overplaying a little bit and a little drama that time, but Patillo stuck his hip out. That second time in a row that Cadogan overemphasized that he was getting illegally screened. That time the referee called it. .57-56, still around 11 points. Was 15 at the half, 22 in the second quarter at one point. Phillips taking it hard to the hoop. Has to do some hang time that time. That was a good defense by Windsor, unable to convert. Darren Duncan with the ball, looking for an opportunity. And he, right in your face kind of three-point shot. Not really contested, and he buries it.
Yeah, Windsor only had 1 3-pointer in the entire first half. They've got 3 in this quarter.
Cadogan with the jump shot, nobody converting, looking at him. Williamson to the hard to the hoop. How did he get that one off? Just so tenacious under there.
And he always, whenever he sees anyone trying to contest that shot, he hunts the chest, as I like to call it. He looks for the opposing player's chest, drives that shoulder into him, and gets a man one plays. Marcus Capers, huge dunk.
And the pass from Garrett Williamson again. Williamson, the spark plug, holding Windsor at bay here. Windsor putting a big push on in this third quarter, but they cut it down from 15 to 12. That's where it seems to be stuck. What else do they have? Bennett, closely guarded by Williamson. They know how deadly a shooter he is. I was going to say, he'll take it from there. And mark my words. I told you, he's way out there, and he still took it and made it. He had Williamson in his face as well.
Can't contest it much more than that.
Cadogan unable to put it down. Capers all over Stutz. Lucky he didn't call for a foul. In the corner it is. Keith going down, working hard underneath. The spin move, gets his position, his feet right. He's working hard. He's playing a terrific game tonight. Down to 7. This is Williamson. Definitely got the call. Nice spin move inside. He is working so hard to keep his team in the lead. Taking absorbing punishment inside. That's Williamson.
That's going to give him 22 points in the game. Or pardon me, 23 points with a chance to add one more here. And he's just been phenomenal in this game. 10 of 20 shooting. Pardon me, make that 11 of 21.
He's at the foul line. It's a 7-point lead now. Windsor again cut it under double digits. Takes a lot of energy to keep coming back every time. You let the lead extend, you got to cut into it again and again and again. How much do they have to give is the question. I certainly think they have the firepower. Maurice Jones up top. Logan Stutz looking for the shot. This is Bennett again. Capers on top of him this time. Mr. Patillo, what's he going to do? He's going to take the hoop? No, he's doing his fadeaway jumper. That's a low percentage. Good defense by Royce White. Nice block at the rim by Patillo, and that time White being held down by Stutz. And Stutz is upset. Did not think that he had caused the foul. I think that is going to be his number 5, is it? Number 4 for Logan Stutz. So he comes off right away. He is upset. He did not think that was a foul.
Well, almost the entire Windsor bench erupted on that one, and even a couple of guys on the floor. Coach Bill Jones not really happy with that one. And again, it's a big one because Logan Stutz now has to go to the bench. He's been playing a ton of minutes for this team in this game and has been fairly effective.
Well, DeAndre Thomas is a substitution. He's getting a little more playing time this year on in this game. He was out with injury the first game. And he makes them both, does White. And all of a sudden, it's back to an 11-point lead. Keith doing well, coming around that screen. And a good recovery by Capers that time, blocking that shot. That's going to be a foul on DeAndre Thomas. Stopping the ball at the half, and he's upset that it wasn't a foul, but it looked like a foul from way up here. The ref was standing right there. Coach Bill Jones also right close by. How is that not a foul when you slap the ball or the wrist on the man dribbling over half?
You know, I like that Bill Jones got him right under control again, though. He was starting to get after the ref, and Bill Jones just kind of calmed him down. This is where you want DeAndre Thomas. You're going to have calls like this happen, but you want him to kind of make this game disruptive, get the crowd into it a bit, get them booing you. You know, it gives an away team kind of motivation when they hear the home crowd, the away crowd booing. So, I mean, you kind of want to get that energy.
Well, if he was trying to stop the fast break, that would have been a good play if they had a foul to give, but they did not have a foul to give. Hence, Garrett Williamson at the line shooting 2 because they have 17 fouls already in this quarter. So not only was it a foul, it was a poor foul, putting Williamson at the line. And this is DeAndre underneath. The ball stripped by Royce White. Royce White not thinking it's a foul, neither does the crowd, but I think DeAndre Thomas earned that. He got his interior position. He got slapped on the wrist. A lot of talking going on between Doug Herring Jr. and DeAndre. Not sure why. So he's going to the line for 2. How many fouls is that on Royce White now?
He hasn't had too many fouls in this game. That's only going to be his 3rd foul there.
3rd foul, okay. Something to watch for when the 2 of those are on the floor. Usually a lot of fouls are generated.
But White, they've really keyed in on him in this game. Only 5 points, 0 for 4 from the field. But you can still feel his impact in this game. He's had 8 rebounds, 5 assists. He's doing everything but scoring in this game, and he's really helped his teammates out.
Yeah, he's had some easy misses there, some easy shots that he missed as well, sort of rushed himself, which is not typical Royce White, but I'm sure he'll get that one straightened out. So Herring Jr. up top, Royce White Trying to set up his teammate Williamson again, going hard to the hoop and high off the backboard. He is just determined to get to the rim at all costs, no matter the consequences, and he finishes it again. He has definitely been the wall holding Windsor back in this third quarter. Royce White puts it under, trying to help on defense again. No foul called. That was Keith with the offensive rebound. As Williamson flying high in the sky and puts it down, running the floor on both ends. A little spurt here by London pushes it back to 14. Like I said, it takes a lot out of you to keep coming back. I'm talking about Windsor. I think they have the firepower, but it takes a lot of energy, let alone come back to get into the lead. This is White and the big guy, DeAndre. A little spin move, throws it out. He's a good passing man, and that's Bennett shooting it on pressure with the shot clock. Patillo with the turnaround jumper. He makes it look easy with that rainbow shot.
He has a huge arc on the shot, and he releases it so high, too. He gets so much jump when he goes for that jumper. It's really a crazy shot to watch.
Windsor needs to make some stops here. No challenge with Royce at the three-point line. DeAndre just staying in the key. Does a little ball fake and handoff for Anderson. We've seen that a few times. And now he goes to the hoop. That might be too late. That's going to be a shot clock violation. That play was slow developing. 80-68 down the 12 again. So it's hanging right on that 8 to 12 point balance, it seems, most of this quarter after that brief spurt by Windsor. Windsor unable to get it any closer. Substitutions in for London. Garrett Williamson going off for a well-deserved rest. Marvin Phillips and Royce White on the floor with Patillo and DeAndre Thomas. That makes a lot of sense. Patillo again taking it to the hoop this time under pressure from Phillips. He makes it off the backward. That was well defended by Phillips. A better shot by Juan Patillo.
And this is really a time where they could use Juan Patillo to step up here, and he's really done a good job in this quarter.
Doug Herring Jr. from out of nowhere decides to take a three, and he buries it. Nobody expected that. His eyes just lit up, and nobody came out after him. He just said, I'm going to shoot it. Nobody's out here. "17 seconds left in this quarter. This quarter's gone by a lot quicker than the first half has. Nice little handoff, unable to finish, but he gets his own offensive board is Tony Bennett, fouled by Ryan Anderson. Nice little 1-2 play there by the guards. Bennett's playing a ton of minutes again, is he not?
Yeah, a lot of
Duncan.
minutes in this quarter, too. They're really leaning on those two guys. Both veteran guards in this league.
Well, Bennett able to recover off his miss. Gets his offensive rebound. Now he's at the foul line. And he makes his second. Still 9 seconds left here in the quarter. See what London generates here. Looks like Doug Herring Jr. going to pull up for a three because he was feeling it last game. And that's Phillips again. Unable to convert was Johnson. Two terrific offensive rebounds by Phillips and Johnson, and does not convert. And it stays an 11-point lead for London Lightning over the Windsor Express here at the end of three quarters here at Budweiser Garden in London.
You know, I think one of the big difference makers for Windsor that helped them get back into that game, they finally started making some three-pointers. Made 4 threes in that third quarter after making only one in the entire first half. And that created space. Guys like Patillo had room to operate down low. We saw him kind of take things over a bit at the end of that third quarter because he finally had a little bit of room to work with down in the post because Lightning finally had to start respecting Windsor's three-point shots. However, London got right back to the perimeter defense that worked so well in the first half around the end of that quarter. And I think that's what really created this gap that they're sitting at right now, the 11 points. The reason it stayed at that is because they're really getting hands and faces. They're forcing tough perimeter shots. And really, other than the mid-range game, Windsor didn't have much going in the back half of that quarter there.
Well, I think the closest they brought it to was 7, I believe. And it was quickly back over double digits again, where it is now 11-point lead. Windsor doing a little bit better on defense, I can see. Kind of creeping back into the rebound column. 41-36, only 5 rebound differential here. 10 turnovers by Windsor. Doesn't help them either. 7 blocks in the game as well. A lot of those in that third quarter. At least 3 or 4 blocks in that third quarter.
You know, London's bench has really been coming up big in this game. There wasn't a ton of points off the bench in game 1 there, but they've really come up big. Guys like Marvin Phillips, who we mentioned, 17 points in 7 rebounds in limited minutes and in foul trouble too. And he's been able to put up those kind of numbers. That's a tremendous effort off the bench for them, and something that they didn't really have in game 1, but they've stepped up here in game 2.
Okay, ready for the start of the fourth quarter. Who do we have on the floor? We have DeAndre Thomas. Another appearance by Wally Ellenson. Maurice Jones in. One of the guards needs to get a break, I would think. Looks like it's Darren Duncan's off the floor. We also have Juan Patillo. And our 5th player is Tony Bennett, playing a ton of minutes tonight. Doug Herring Jr. still on the floor. He's guarding Maurice Jones right now. Anderson's going to be tasked with Juan Patillo, it looks like, at the moment. Because you got Phillips and DeAndre Thomas, former teammates. No, I don't think they were teammates ever. They both have played in London, of course. But
I do think they were teammates, actually.
I'm trying to remember
for a little
if they were
bit
teammates.
there, yeah.
I'm just trying to remember if they ever were. But Phillips trying to do his best to hold his position against DeAndre Thomas. Royce White in the ball game as well. And along with Kyle Johnson. Those are the 5 players for each team starting this fourth quarter. Patillo with White guarding him. He's going to take him to the hole. Puts him under pressure, does White, but that's Bennett. Unable to convert. He gets the luck, not the rebound, but he does get the rebound. No, the deflection, sorry. That's the word I was looking for. And puts it up with his left hand, quick as a wink. He's at the basket. It's really a bit of a chess match going on here now, it seems like. Phillips, is he going to make his 5th one? He does not. And you wondered, holding your breath there for a minute. He was 4 for 4, but now he's 4 for 5. Ellison, nobody on Ellison. Unable to slam it. He needs to make sure that basket is in. You don't need to slam it for show. You need to put it in for dough. That's a golf analogy if you got it. Right? He needed to make sure of that basket. He didn't need a slam for that. And this is Phillips way up there again with the split leg rebound and the putback. Man, he was there quick and high and strong. That's a 4-point turnaround. Ellison not making the layup, and Phillips with that offensive putback.
You know, it should come as no surprise that Phillips is coming up big in the playoffs. He's a former playoff MVP back in the 2nd season of NBL Canada when the London Lightning won a championship.
London keeps rolling out their substitutes. Like you said, the bench scoring has been terrific, which was more consistent with London's style of play this year. I think at the end of the year we said 8 players in double figures in scoring. DeAndre Thomas with the ball, lots of defense coming to help. Looks like the ball got stripped out of his hand that time by either Cadogan or Friesen. As soon as he had beaten Marvin Phillips, there was players coming to help, making him a passer instead of a shooter or a scorer. But you can see how difficult it is once he gets the ball in his hands to keep him away from that basket. I'm talking about DeAndre Thomas. That time White able to deflect that alley-oop pass. Puts the ball between his legs and hands it off. And that's what I like about Garrett Williamson. He laid that ball in to make sure the basket was going. He didn't do nothing showy or slam dunk it. He wanted to make sure of the 2 points after that pretty pass from Royce White.
And I don't think White went between the legs. He actually went around the world there. He put it around himself.
That was a fake around the leg, and then around the world. Sometimes he does things you can't even believe what you saw. And that Bennett, he's hit one from there before. Is he not quite hitting that one again? My goodness, that's a long 3-point shot.
Touched about every part of the rim, too.
Cadogan going hard to the hoop. And who's there but Friesen going for the offensive board, unable to convert. Patillo leading the fast break with the dribble. This could be trouble. No, sir. Duncan saves the day. Kicks the ball out into the corner. Good ball movement that time. And with a wide open look, Tony Bennett makes some pay. Back down to 10. They just will not go away, will Windsor. They are unable to get it down to any closer than 10 points at the moment, 7 at the best. Nice cut by Williamson. He is just playing so hard unable to convert that time. I think the defender just deflected it enough for it not to go into the rim or into the hoop. Bennett again, he's not afraid to shoot, and he does another one. This is the Tony Bennett of the second half that we saw in that first game. He just shot them right back into it. He's doing it now again.
You know, he almost should be called Mr. Second Half or Mr. Fourth Quarter or something, because he always seems to do it late in games. Comes up clutch in a crunch time situation.
He shot him back to 7-point deficit. Wherever he is, London's going to have to keep an eye on him because he's catching and shooting no matter where he's standing on the floor. Kyle Johnson in for London. White with the ball up top. Looks for a handoff for Friesen. Gets stolen, looking for the fake, and Bennett steals the ball and makes the easy layup, even with pressure from Williamson. So another basket from Tony Bennett, down to 5 points. 8.5 minutes to go. How will London adjust? Will Windsor steal this game? This is White. Under pressure, unable to convert. That's Kyle Johnson coming in from behind. I don't know how Stutz started flying out of bounds, but he didn't not have good position. Johnson took full advantage of it. Bennett closely guarded by Johnson. As soon as he gets open, looks like White blocked that shot, but it's a foul call. I think it's on Johnson, not on White, I don't think. We'll see who the call is on.
I think it's going to be on White.
No, I think it's on Johnson, yeah.
It is on Johnson, yep.
So that's what I thought the referee was pointing at. White thought it was called on him and was upset because he had blocked it cleanly. But definitely a foul call on Kyle Johnson.
And that's going to be Kyle Johnson's fourth foul there.
Bennett,
I think at this point you can play with 4 fouls, but still.
Well, you had said Bennett had played with London before. So he's familiar with this arena, familiar with the surroundings. He's certainly feeling comfortable shooting it here. 3 foul shots. Makes his first 2, back to 5 points. Can cut it to the closest. So far, 4 points is the closest Windsor been in a long time. And here we are with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Well, it's the closest they've been since the first quarter. It's been a tough fight back here for Windsor.
Anderson repeat his heroics from the first game. He maces his first wide open 3. He's tasked with sticking with Bennett. He's right on Bennett. Bennett, as soon as he gets an opening, he's shooting it. So he's feeling it. That should be a foul on DeAndre Thomas. Bill Jones, I don't think he's happy with that one.
Well, it's going to be Thomas's fourth, so he might have to sit here too. Although again, there's plenty of time to. There's not that much time left, so you might want to just leave him in and let him play with 4.
I think at this time you don't worry too much about the foul situations.
Agreed.
I do see Keith coming up from the bench. You're right, White is orchestrating.
Ooh, that might be 5 on Thomas.
I don't know if that's on Duncan or Thomas. Let's see here.
Or Jones, I think would
or
be.
Jones, sorry, yeah.
It is on Thomas, that's 5.
It is on Thomas, oh my. He's getting some feedback from the fans and he's reacting to it. Coach Bill gives him a slap, says he's doing a good job. Just too many quick fouls. Fighting hard through all the screens were London for that. And this time White makes no mistake. He gets all the way to the rim, high off the backboard, absorbs the contact, and puts in the basket. You knew you're not going to hold him down for long. He's still leading the team in rebounds and assists, I believe.
Yes, he is. And again, he hasn't had the type of scoring night that we usually see from him, but he's still finding ways to contribute to his team. I think this is one of his better all-round efforts, too, even if he isn't able to score as much as we usually see.
Well, you see him directing a lot of traffic. He has the ball quite often in his hand outside the three-point line, setting up whatever London's looking for. There's that double clutch by Darren Duncan, which he's going to be so famous for. He keeps doing that. That's terrific. Realized the defender was behind him, ready to slap the ball from behind, a la Manu Ginobili in that game with James Harden. You see that one? And he knew that where the defender was, did the double clutch, and that time he gets, that is Darren Duncan getting the foul. And like I said, we've said it before, Junior Cadogan, when he wants to get there, he's getting there.
It seems like he almost always draws a foul when he gets to the rim there.
Yes. Makes his first, extends it to a 6-point lead. Still lots of time left in this game, almost 7 minutes. He makes his second. He's a very reliable free throw shooter, is Junior Cadogan. He's got a difficult task to keep Maurice Jones in front of him, though. See, like I say, they switch everything. Now Cadogan's on Stutz. He's working hard, but I do not see that being a foul on Logan Stutz, and Bill Jones doesn't either. Junior Cadogan, which is leaning, fronting Logan Stutz, and Stutz just steps sideways, and all of a sudden he's on the floor. Not sure what the referee was thinking that time. You can see the replay as well. Stutz just trying to get out of the way of Cadogan more than anything else. I guess a little tug on the shoulder there maybe is what the referee saw, and that's what he called.
And it's also harder when you're a guy Stutz size and you're being defended by someone as the size of Cadogan. The ref kind of looks at the smaller guy and usually goes in that player's favor.
Yeah, it's just a little tug on the shoulder there, but I don't think near enough to knock Cadogan down. But it was called, and I think that's his 5th, I believe, was it not?
That is 5 on Stutz.
Yes, so he's got one more to play with. He's got Kyle Johnson on him again. Mismatch on the switchover. Good ball fake. Jones unable to convert that time. What a terrific ball fake, though, on the overplay by London. That was a great crossover dribble, but even better pair of hands by Jones. And he just lets the defender fly by and makes up for his earlier miss. Down to 5 points. Johnson up top. Ball quickly into the corner for Williamson. Ball fake. Going hard to the hoop. Did not draw the foul. Keith did a good challenge. Williamson unable to finish. And again, driving to the hoop and a kick. Quickly on Bennett. The hot 3-point shooter is Johnson. Just dunking with the ball up top. Logan Stutz not even looking for it. This is Keith. He's played well so far. Nice spin around. Can he bury it? He does. On the bench erupts for Windsor on a terrific spin play by Shaquille Keith.
And that's a huge one because if he's able to make this free throw, it's a 1-possession game.
Timeout called. Windsor coming all the way back again. And London trying to hold the surging Windsor Express. Last game, Windsor shot ahead in the third quarter, and it was London who had to dig out of a hole to come all the way back. This time, Windsor has been down the whole game. Down by 3 here with, well, I don't know how much time, about 3 or 4 minutes left. Let's have a look here. 5:28 left in the quarter. Lots of time for lots of things to happen. I think the one person that's really been quiet from the floor has been Ryan Anderson. Not sure how many points he has tonight.
He's sitting at a 0 there.
That's what I thought I saw, but I had to do a double take. So Ryan Anderson, the star of the last game, 3-point shooter, no points tonight.
But I don't think that's so much him not being able to produce. I think it's the fact that Windsor's keyed in on him. But he, like Royce White, he's another guy that they really keyed in on, but has been doing a lot of extra things on the floor there. Anderson with 6 rebounds, 3 assists. And he's a guy who, even when he's not necessarily scoring, his defense is fantastic. And we've seen not great production out of some of the wing players on Windsor, and a lot of that comes from the defense of Ryan Anderson.
Yeah, on the defensive side, he's working really hard, very effective. Windsor doing a good job tonight, taking 2 out of the big 3, sort of out of the game on the scoreboard anyway. Anderson with only 0. And Royce White with 8. The only one really making his mark on the score sheet is Garrett Williamson with 30. And saying that, of course, we know that White is the leading rebounder and assist.
Also got to give special mention to Marvin Phillips there, 19 points in limited minutes. He's had a fantastic game. He's going to be back on the floor coming out of the timeout.
Exactly. Speaking of Marvin, he is back on the floor along with Anderson and White. Kyle Johnson and Junior Cadogan. Garrett Williamson getting a break, playing a lot of minutes, scoring a ton of points. Keep himself from the lactic acid building up in his legs on the exercise bike back there in the corner, knowing he's coming back in soon, I'm sure. And Keith makes it a true 3-point play and a 2-point game. 1 possession it is. Anybody's ball game here in. Hang on, folks. The last 5 minutes of the game. Now drop off again for Anderson. Hounded that time by Windsor. And it's called Windsor's ball. Looks like Anderson was called for tipping it out. You're right. They are really keying on Anderson. There's 2, and then the last second there are 3 players on Anderson. Not letting him get a sniff of any kind of shot.
And to his credit, he knows that his shot's not going. He's not trying to force it. He's not taking a bunch of jumpers to try to get out of funk. He's just focusing on other areas of his game.
Whoa, Darren Duncan just rises up. No other option. Defense was good from London. They just shot right in the defender's face, and they are ahead by 1 point. Again, Anderson being hounded that time by Bennett. This is Royce White. You see Shaq Keith just go flying into the end zone. He just bounced right off of Royce White, and White finished with a soft left-hander. Puts London back in the lead by 1. Well, we didn't think of it would be any different, did we?
No.
At some time you think one team's running away with it. London earlier this game and last game, then Windsor looked like they were starting to run away with it. London came back. Here we are at 1 point difference. I think it's going to be like this all series. A game of runs and a game of adjustments. And who's going to be the star tonight?
Well, both teams are sort of coached by guys who I like to call chess masters, in that they really use their pieces to their best. And this is going to be a very, very fun series to watch.
Duncan with the ball with Johnson on him. It's a holding foul on Johnson. That is the 4th team foul for the Lightning. Windsor at 6. That'll come into play as well in the final factors. When you hit the team 7, of course, you shoot both shots. So 4:20 to go, neither team shooting the bonus yet. Patillo back on the floor. He's going to take that jump shot, and he loves that shot from the foul line.
Yeah, that's a spot right there.
Back and forth it goes. Going to be lots of lead changes perhaps here in the last 5 or 6 minutes. When it's been predominantly London in the lead the whole game. Phillips looking inside. He's got the physical size in there. Unable to convert, and he's working hard for the boards, but he knocks it out of bounds. They're unable to get it into Phillips. They have 2 smaller guys on him, but Phillips going to the bench. Garrett Williamson already back on the floor after that brief break on the exercise bike. I don't know what kind of break that really is, but
Got to keep everything loose.
I think that's what it is. Duncan with the ball. Patillo rolls. Little ball fake, and he's going up and under.
Excellent play there from Juan Patillo. That's a really special play.
Certainly is. Good handle there on the ball, and a good reverse. Williamson with the ball. Popped out of Royce White's hand, off of the Windsor player like a ping pong ball, and out of bounds it is for London with 13 seconds left in the shot clock. And they are down by 3. So both what we would call point guards from London are on the floor now, both Herring and Cadogan. That's the first time we've seen that tonight. Certainly going to have some mismatches underneath. And White with the finish with a nice pass. An assist from Doug Herring Jr. backing his much smaller player in, and a little dump off for Royce White, who makes no mistake.
Yeah, it was a great pass through the double team too. Great recognition.
Well, this is a best of 7 series, unlike the first series, which was a best of 5. So Windsor does take it tonight. There will be 2 games in Windsor next week, and we'll be back in London on the following Tuesday. Patillo being hounded that time, and the ball stolen by Doug Herring right out of Patillo's hands. He's driving to the hoop, making a look for an easy look for Kyle Johnson. Ball swings. He's not taking the wide open 3. He's being patient, pulling it back out. They're down by 1. Garrett Williamson with a much smaller player. No foul called on Darren Duncan. Slips right out of Garrett Williams' hand off a Windsor player. So the shot clock's at 7. See what London has up their sleeve here for this out-of-bounds play. Windsor call a timeout, sensing that this is a key possession here. They're up by 1 with just under 3 minutes to go. Well, what a change in fortune here for the Windsor Express. It took them a while to get going. They made a bit of a run in the third quarter, gave it back up again, and then have made a run in this fourth quarter to take the lead over London
and
Lightning.
they're winning the quarter 27-15. This has been just a magnificent quarter from the Express. I think this is kind of exactly where they want it to be. They held Anderson and White to a combined 12 points. They've got the lead. They've got it late. And this is kind of exactly what they wanted. London's shooting numbers have kind of dropped across the board in the second half. And that's led to this disappointing fourth quarter.
Well, we know that the star of that comeback was Tony Bennett. He is sitting at 21 points now. 12 three-point attempts, though. He's got 4, but it took him 12 chances.
3 players on Windsor over 20 points. You got Shaq Keith, 22, and Darren Duncan also at 20. He's got a double-double because he got 11 assists.
Well, Windsor definitely tightening up on defense. London's shooting percentage is way down from the first quarter. They're up over 50%. They are under 40% now from the field. So this will be London ball with 2:26 left on the clock. A 1-point lead for Windsor. Doug Herring Jr. put the ball in bounds. This is Kyle Johnson. He's realized his shot clock is down. He had to force that up. It was down about 3 seconds. So good defense that time by Windsor to stall that inbound possession. Duncan with the ball up top. Big switch with Patillo and Johnson. But this is Keith with the big block by none other than Garrett Williamson. See where this finishes. And a drop-off pass by Doug Herring Jr. puts him back up by 1. That's classic fast break finish.
Yeah, that was a beautiful pass there from Doug Herring Jr. to find White.
All started with Williamson's defense on Keith, who has been playing terrific this game, but Williamson done better that time. That's going to be a foul on Doug Herring Jr. That's the 5th team foul for London.
Shaq Keith and Garrett Williamson getting into each other. The ref's going to talk to them right there.
I don't know if there's any trash talk going on. I don't think that's really Garrett Williamson's style, but
I think Keith is angry because after the block, Williamson kind of, I think Keith fell, but Williamson kind of had a hand on him. I think that's what Keith's angry about.
Duncan one-on-one with Herring. That's another holding foul. Rich Delic, referee, calls out one right away. So both teams sitting at 6. Next fouls on either team will put the teams on the foul line for 2. 1:39 left, if you're counting. 14 seconds left on the shot clock. Patillo with the ball up top. Duncan quickly retrieves it from him. Now Cadogan is on Duncan. This is a tough matchup for anybody. Will he rise up for the shot? No, he throws it underneath. And a terrific backdoor flash by Patillo. And they're up by 1. Another lead change. Now London will have to keep matching. Williamson up top. This is White underneath. Looks like he's looking for his shot. He does. He just uses his broad shoulders to carve out some space. And he finishes so well with left or right hand.
I'm not sure what happened with Windsor. They were defending him so well throughout this entire game, but now White's getting some space to operate.
Again, mismatches underneath. This is Jones. Fake the shot. Duncan will take that one there and looks quickly to Keith underneath. A late foul called. I think that's the correct call, though.
Yeah, it's going to be the 5th foul there on Junior Cadogan.
I think the ref was willing to let it go if the ball went in the net, but since it missed, he thinks the contact created the miss, and you can see it here. I believe that's the right call, so he goes to the foul line. Down by 1. This is Keith. We know he had quite a few points already in the game.
He's already at 22 points, 9 rebounds.
This is 23. He's going to have a double-double most likely. Makes them both. Clutch under pressure. So London again has to find a shot, get them back in the lead. See what they're setting up. They're going to their big guy underneath. He's doing the spin move. Oh, a terrific finish. Great defense by Patillo, but even a better finish, left-handed again by Royce White. And they hold Windsor off. Like we said, any foul will put both teams in the foul line. Keith just taking it to the hoop, and a falling away reverse layup. Unbelievable by Keith. We are down to 23 seconds. There's about a 1 or 2 second shot clock differential. Not sure what London's going to do. They're down by 1. Are they going to hold the ball for the final possession? Or are they going to put the pressure on Windsor to score it? High off the backboard. And who's fighting for that? That's Williamson. No foul called. But Cadogan has the ball left for 2 seconds. And at the buzzer, White puts it in. They're calling it a basket or not. Bill Jones is calling it basket interference, but you can touch the ball once it hits the rim, and it's good. Doesn't matter if it's over top of the rim or not. This is FIBA rules, remember, so once the ball hits the rim, you can touch it. And he does it with enough time on the clock, and the referees have called it good. And a huge team celebration by London. What a dramatic way to finish the game.
And who else? Look at this play. Garrett Williamson flies in and finishes the bucket. What an amazing play from easily the player of the game,
Absolutely.
Garrett Williamson.
If any player deserved it, that was him, Garrett Williamson, making it at the buzzer. We can watch replay after replay. We're trying to see the shot clock as well. It's not basket interference, folks, if that's what you're wondering. Because you can touch the ball once it hits the rim, and we definitely thought it was before the shot clock.
It was definitely, the shot was definitely on time. It was definitely before the buzzer.
Well, a heartbreaking loss for the Windsor Express. They made a terrific comeback in that fourth quarter. I was a little surprised that London didn't shoot the ball a bit earlier, even if they had converted the basket and make Windsor do the final shot. They almost played for the final shot, and it almost cost them, but thanks to the heroics of Garrett Williamson, a 1-point win this time for the London Lightning.
Just remarkable play there. we got more of this coming.
I know.
Oh man.
Well, there'll be 2 games in Windsor next week, and if things hold the form, if Windsor does win at home, keeps the home court, we'll be back here the following Tuesday, I believe. So, final score, 106 to 105. London Lightning over the Windsor Express. What a dramatic finish. Let's see what some of the stats are here at the end. What did our friend Garrett Williamson end up with for points at the end?
Well, Garrett Williamson with absolutely his best performance in a playoff game. 32 points, 8 rebounds, none more crucial than that final putback. Oh, what an incredible finish to that game. Marvin Phillips, 19 points, 9 rebounds, limited minutes. A great job by him. Royce White really came on in that fourth quarter. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, filling the stat sheet. For Windsor, you got 3 players with 20-plus points. You got 26 points, Shaq Keith, 21 points from Tony Bennett, and 20 points from Darren Duncan, as well as 13 assists, really helping out his teammates. That was just... That was nuts. I don't think I can't recall a game where we see a finish like that here in the playoffs here at Budweiser Gardens. Because
there were some clutch plays on both sides of the court. White had some clutch plays at the end there, as we can see, and we saw that also between Shaquille Keith making a big basket at the end there, but this one at the very end by Garrett Williamson, that is the game winner. For those folks that maybe are not familiar that the ball got tipped in, not because of the time, but because the ball was on the rim, you are allowed to touch it once it hits the rim. 106-105.
So clear the smoke after all that. It was a Garrett Williamson tip-in that gave the Lightning a 2-0 lead. He did it again. And the final score, as you can see, 107 to 106. JP, once again, this was a game that went right down to the wire. Garrett Williamson providing yet again more late-game heroics down the stretch.
It was 106 to 105, just to correct you there for a second, but that was an unbelievable finish overall. I'm absolutely still stunned about how that finished off. Garrett Williamson, 32 points, though, tonight. Big-time contributor most of those were inside the paint or inside the mid-range because he just took one shot from outside the arc. That was just 1-3 and just 3 free throws. So he just dominated his way inside throughout this entire game, and it worked out for London in the end in an absolutely crazy finish.
And on the other end of the spectrum, the Windsor Express are still flabbergasted at what happened. Bill Jones clearly wanted a foul on that, but Garrett Williamson took matters in his own hands, tipped it in with his open hand and just put it in. There could be some debate about it, but at the end of the day, the stat line says London Lightning lead 2-0, but a good, admirable effort from the Windsor Express, especially from Juan Patillo and, of course, Tony Bennett catching the hot hand again.
Yeah, Tony Bennett is one of the main reasons I think they clawed their way back in the second half. 21 points on the night. Shaquille Keith ended up with 26, so he ended up improving his shooting a little bit and continuing to hit shots from the free throw line. But Windsor, out of the locker room, seemed to turn things around offensively, defensively. They just slowly clawed their way back into this game, and finally got their first lead with 3 minutes to go. It was just one of those games where it's like anything can happen in the National Basketball League of Canada, and, well, we've seen it just about all tonight.
Yeah, keep in mind the Express were down by as much as 20, so they could have capped off a big comeback, but they could not prevail, thus meaning the Lightning are riding on a 22 home game winning streak as of this moment.
Yeah, you mentioned there Windsor shot 18% in that first quarter.
Yes, they did.
They ended up turning it around to outshooting London on the game at 42%. That's how much they turned it around. But London, meanwhile, as you mentioned, big win to continue the home streak and whatnot. Now they have that 2-0 series lead heading into the Atlas Tube Center in Lakeshore. That is going to make things very interesting and very crucial for Windsor. Windsor will have to win both of their games to even it up at home on Wednesday and Friday. A lot of pressure there, and I expected just how the first two have turned out to go down to the wire, possibly to the last shot again.
Well, you know, this whole message thing today was the mother of all battles, and you've seen it, 2 upsets. You've seen the Island Storm cap off a 4-point win in Halifax, and right here a game that went right down to the final buzzer. So everybody's got their money's worth on Mother's Day, and it's quite fitting that it ends like that. But as you look at it, the final thoughts here from Budweiser Gardens as scene shifts to Lakeshore.
Yes, this is going to be very interesting because we've seen how the atmosphere is at the Atlas Tube Center. It's near deafening in there. Some players described it, the Windsor Express players, I should say, described to Jim Parker, the Windsor Express, as it being like a European feel with how the crowd is and how wild it was there. We're going to have to see how everything turns out there against London in the Atlantic Finals, of course. But that is a major home court advantage the way it was because that crowd is literally on top of you. That could be a pretty big impact there and could affect some of the momentum in that game because if Windsor goes on a run, it could help Windsor go over the edge and take a win or two.
And that's how it is. 1,000 people in that building, that just makes it into 10,000. We've both been in there for their first 2 games, and it was deafening. It was hard enough to hear ourselves think, let alone talk to the viewers right here on the halftime and a post-game show. But nonetheless, it's going to be a bumpy ride as it is now, but you're going to have to stay tuned in about a couple of days to see that happen. Thursday night, we'll be there at the Atlas Tube Center down at Lakeshore. London Lightning, they have hopes of capping this all off in a sweep. But then again, as we've seen in the close games at the Tubi, it could go right down to the wire once again. So that's it for us. Enjoy your Sunday. Have a happy Mother's Day. Be good to yourself. And that's the story right here. Once again, the London Lightning cap off a 2-0 series lead over the Windsor Express. Game 3 coming up very soon. We'll see you all then. This has been a presentation of Knockstrom Digital Media, producing the media excellence in Southern Ontario. For JP Justin Prince, this be Aaron Sanders saying Happy Mother's Day and so long from the Forest City.